drivers, 3 days. We have one more title left to decide. Bobby McGurk is your lightweight champion. Who is going to join him as the heavyweight champion? Two-time defending champ Mark Puxty on pole. And he leads the grid away. The floodlights now firmly lit here at Buckmore Park. 20-minute race ahead of us. Now, will this be a slow burn like we saw in the other races? Or will this be frenetic from the start? Mark Puxty, good start from him. Ross Sandwell, marked as one of the favourites from the heats, slotted into second position after qualifying there. In fact, the top 8 stayed as they are as they cross the line. That may change though on this opening lap. At the end of the first lap, nice gap for Puxty at the front. Stuart Jones up 1 position, Bran van der Nijn up 1 as well. Ross Sandwell actually down 2. So Jones and Sandwell both having neon suits, that's where the confusion was. The 13 of Jack Evans in his distinctive red helmet, giving the hip and shoulder to another driver. But very well behaved before our heavyweight drivers, stretched out in a nice long line like we saw with our lightweights. It's a different type of racing, this one, when you get to the top of the field. Puxty, I think he'd have given most of his fingers to be where he is right now. To be leading from pole position. Hassan Zafar with the new fastest lap of the race in 5th. First man into the 50s. 2 thousandths of a second. The gap between Puxty and Jones, difference in best lap time last time round. The difference though for Puxty is he hasn't got the likes of van der Nijn and Sandwell pressuring from behind. Because if van der Nijn and Sandwell think that Jones has not got the pace to keep up with Puxty, they are going to make a move. Puxty, marginal better sector 1, marginally better sector 2 on this lap. Just stretching out his lead at the front of this pack, just by a couple tenths of a second. You can see, he's already built up a gap at the start of this race. Fastest lap of the race for Ross Sandwell at 50.7. About 8 tenths of a second off what we saw from the lightweights. Of course, much darker now, much colder track temperatures. Expect the times to be a little bit slower because of it. So Puxty leads. Then there's a chasing pack of 4 made up of Jones, Sandwell, van der Nijn and Zafar. And Brighton then leads the tertiary pack. In fact, Ross Sandwell seems to have made a move on this lap. He's now up to second position. The driver who currently holds the best lap in this race, and he's actually gapped Stuart Jones by a decent amount. He's already bridged most of that gap to Puxty. New fastest lap of the race for Sandwell. Purple sector 2, 50.5 compared to Puxty's 50.8 last time round. Puxty is not going to have it all his own way in this final. Sandwell seems to definitely have the pace on Puxty at this stage. These two leaving the other 3 far behind. Puxty, he spent the entirety of last year attacking Anwar Burrell-Smith, who was leading the race. Now it's the turn of Puxty to be the defender. The pace of Sandwell is such that you think that if he gets in front and gets a decent gap, he's not going to be caught for the rest of this race. And Puxty will know that. He'll know that the gap has come down. Nearly 25% of this race gone already. Bit of side-by-side action between Zafar and Jones. Zafar not wanting to wait around here. 5 different teams as well in the top 5 for the team's trophy this year. Accelerate Kent Brewery, Kinetica Racing Purple, Talent Factory, Kinetica Racing Black and Buckmore Bandits All-Stars are your top 5 teams in this race. Several contact and track limits warnings coming down further down. Here we go, battle for the lead. This is what we wanted. We didn't want to see a boring race at the front, as much as Puxty, I'm sure, would have wanted it. Sandwell closing up to Puxty. Much better drive out of that final corner. Puxty has to go defensive. The battle here starting much earlier than it did in race number 1. Down the inside goes Sandwell. He makes that move. Nicely done from Sandwell. Puxty gives him just enough space. Someone on the grandstand going absolutely ballistic with joy for Sandwell. Puxty still putting the pressure on. Nice sequence of corners that for Sandwell. Puxty not able to close in. Puxty needs to be careful here. He may have just thrown away his opportunity for a third, an unprecedentedly third championship. There is someone on the balcony going absolutely nuts for Sandwell's move. I think whoever is with that person needs to tell them to calm down. It's still 14 minutes. Mark Puxty down the inside. 2 wheels on the curb. Cut back, not a move that we've seen work very often. Although Mark Puxty has got a bit of an overlap, Sandwell sees them off. Sandwell still ahead. Sandwell, holder of the fastest lap of this race. Though last time round, both of them in the 51s. Sandwell on top of it, has a good look over his right shoulder, over his left shoulder. Last time round, both of these drivers in the high 51s, so not deploying the ultimate pace. At this point, Sandwell, you'd think he'd want to break away if he could. Puxty doing a good job of just latching on behind. That's where these titles come from, is just being there when it matters. The reduced pace of these top 2 has meant that the 5 of Bran van der Nijn and the 12 of Hassan Zafar, as well as Stuart Jones and Johnny Brighton, starting to loom into frame. 12 minutes still left to go in this race, the length of one of the earlier heat races. Much closer across the top 8 than what we saw in the lightweights. Sandwell shapes for a defensive move. Puxty has a look back, not quite able to get it done. Not sure he's entirely wanted to get a move done there as well, saving it for later in the lap. That move from Sandwell could prove critical in the context of this race. Van der Nijn, Zafar, Jones, Brighton. Working together for now, pushing together to try and catch up to this top 2. First time in a couple of laps that Sandwell's got a gap behind him. Sandwell keeps looking over his shoulder. Nice use of the slipstream by Puxty, closes right up again. Puxty, 3 championships in a row. 2 was unprecedented, 3 would be simply extraordinary. And if he were to hang up his helmet after this event, it would be one hell of a way to go out, having conquered the rental karting world for 3 successive years. Sandwell, meanwhile, looking for the title of all titles. The 20-year-old British driver. His first time competing in the Kart Race of Champions. 4th in the British Indoor Nationals in 2023, 5th in the Indoor Nationals 2024. P6 at the Daytona Race of Champions earlier this year at Milton Keynes in January. So just off the podium in all of those categories, he now finds himself at the front. Difference between these two, Puxty, he's been there, done that. He's battled with the best and he's won. He knows what it's like to be in this position. Sandwell, all new to him. And actually, when these two have started working together, they've just had that couple of tenths on the chasing pack behind. And I think Puxty has acknowledged that. Puxty realizing that if he doesn't have to worry about those behind, he can be a lot more aggressive in his pursuit of Sandwell. Sandwell, though, good first sector, faster than Puxty in both sector 1 and 2 on this lap. Puxty, though, seems to have a good top end. Closing right up to the back of Sandwell at the end of the straight with every single lap. Battle for third developing as well. These are for the minor prize places. Van der Nijn now feeling the need to defend from Hassan Zafar. Perhaps realizing that these guys, unless something happens ahead, they don't have the pace for the win. But like Peter Knight and Rory O'Regan did in the previous race, they have to realize that this race could come to them at some point. They need to think about the long game at the end of what has been a very long event. Sandwell keeps looking over his shoulder. The old saying in racing, if you keep looking behind you, you're not going to go forward. Not one, but two looks from Sandwell as he goes down the straight. Puxty, closer than he's been previously. Could send it to the inside if he wants to, but he knows it'll be easier in the closing stages of this race to isolate Sandwell without having to worry about those behind. Those behind, gap now 2.5 seconds. Still could play a factor in this race if these two were starting to battle. The group behind fairly sizable still. Fastest lap of the race, a 50.3 by William Woods. William Woods, one of the favourites going into this final, had a pretty disappointing qualifying to qualify down in P7. He's now making his way up through the upper pack. With that qualifying, I'd say he'd probably thrown away the chance that he had. He did have first choice of the karts as well. Elected to choose the karts that McGurr won with the final. A nice safe bet, that one. Jonathan Wilson down in 11th in the kart that Thomas Ronhaar used in the final. Oh, apologies, actually. Ross Sandwell in the 8th in the kart that Ronhaar used in the final. Over halfway through this race. 7 minutes left to go. Every single lap, this gap between these top two and the chasing pack widens. They are working together effectively for now. Sandwell, I think a gentle acknowledgement that the plans that Puxty have for him aren't yet coming into effect. Looks to his outside, tries to place Puxty on the left-hand side. That will compromise his run through turn 1 and 2. Feels the need to go defensive into hairpin 1. See the battle behind for the last podium place. Currently being led by Bran van der Nijn. These two trading lap times last time round. Difference was just 500ths last time they crossed the line in terms of best lap or last lap. Sandwell again, huge observation needed. Puxty could choose any moment to pull the trigger. So although Ross Sandwell is in the hot seat at the minute and has the slightly better lap time of the two, really is Puxty with all the cards at the moment. Puxty has shown that he has the ability to throw one to the inside whenever he wants. Sandwell goes defensive into hairpin 1. Sandwell waiting for Puxty to come to his right-hand side. Opens the corner. Nice overlap from Puxty, though. He has got the overlap side by side. Ross keeping the inside, though, into the first bit of the downhill. Puxty almost keeping his foot planted. The crowd going absolutely berserk here on the balcony for this battle. Ross continuing to press ahead. That's the best opportunity that Puxty has had, though, since he lost the lead. I don't think he even really even expected to have an opportunity to go for the lead. I think he just took that corner so much better than Sandwell did on that last opportunity, on that last time round. Gave himself an opportunity. Gap now 4.5 to the chasing pack. Arguable if these guys were to battle if the chasing pack would even play a factor. There they are at the top of screen. Van der Nijn leading Woods. Woods with the best lap time at the minute at 50.3. Woods could still feature on the podium here. Still 5 minutes left to go. Samwell absorbing this pressure. Puxty, that's the first aggressive move that he's made. Looks to the inside. I think Puxty recognises that they've spent enough time building this gap. He wants to take a third successive heavyweight Kart Race of Champions title. Puxty, so many laps around this track. He'll have been involved in every possible combination of defensive move, attacking move, track condition. Fully dry it has been all through this weekend. Very good times. Despite these guys are fighting, they're still in the high 50s, low 51s. Sandwell doing enough at the moment, but Puxty just biding his time. Puxty much better through the bottom. Here he goes, Puxty to the inside. Does he take the lead? They are side by side coming out of Garda. Sandwell pushes Puxty onto the curb. Sandwell just keeping ahead of Puxty for now. Good effort that by Puxty, but now Sandwell will know that was one of Puxty's ideas, so he can plan for it in future. The longer you spend behind someone, the more failed attempts, the better their understanding of your racecraft, of where you're faster, where you are slower. Sandwell, a bit exasperated that he still has not seen the back of Puxty just yet. Had to be super aggressive to not give Puxty the inside as they went through Cafe Curve, the inside for turn 1. These two, despite the fighting, still putting in similar lap times as Van der Nijn, Zafar, Jones and Woods battle for the last place on the podium. Our champion will be one of these two though. 3 minutes to go. Samwell sticks to the inside, Puxty to the outside. Almost impossible to make that move. You need to be ahead at the turning point. Sandwell spending nearly as much time looking behind him now as he is looking in front. Needs to calm himself. This is a high pressure situation. He hasn't been in this position many times before. Puxty, been there, done that. Beat Anwar Burrell Smith, arguably one of the greatest rental kart races in the UK, to the title in a one-on-one duel last year. Pretty much a carbon copy of it this year. Last year, Puxty made the winning move on the last lap on the downhill. Can he do the same this year? Looks to the outside. Samwell, little look over the shoulder. 2 minutes left in this one. They're going to get maybe 2-3 more laps of this. Samwell will be hoping it's the lesser. Samwell continuing to push. Van der Nijn holding on. Puxty with a little bit of an overlap. Thinks better of it. 3 days of running. Hundreds of drivers. 30 heats. It's all come down to the next 90 seconds for these drivers. They're going to squeeze in 2 more laps here. 2 more laps for Samwell to hold on. Puxty all over the back of him, basically pushing him through Cafe Curve. Samwell to the inside. Samwell basically hugging that white line now on the inside. These guys have got more than enough gap to those behind. Puxty going for the switchback. Is he going to try and do the same move? He's got alongside. Samwell gives him the space. Puxty comes through. Samwell has the inside for the downhill, or the first bit of the downhill. Can Puxty hold on round the outside? No, Samwell cuts him off. Puxty too far back for a move, you would think. Puxty's been so strong through that downhill just before Garda. We're going to have 1 more lap of racing to determine the 2025 champion. Is it going to be 3 championships in a row for Puxty? Is it going to be an inaugural championship for Sandwell? We have 1 more lap left of the 2025 Kart Race of Champions season. Sandwell First time in a couple laps he's not defended into hairpin 1. Is he going to offer a defence into hairpin 2? Puxty, perhaps tactically not as close as he has been on previous laps, hoping for a better run down the hill so he can pull the exact same move he did on Burrell Smith last year. He's got an overlap on the downhill. Samwell stays ahead. 2 more opportunities for Puxty. 1 more opportunity for Puxty. It has to be Garda. Samwell defends. Puxty not quite able to do it. Samwell, he's absorbed the pressure. It is not going to be 3 championships for Puxty. Sandwell, they're going to be side by side across the line. Ross Sandwell is your 2025 Car Race of Champions heavyweight champion. An absolutely sterling defensive drive. He made the critical move past the 2-time champ. But heartbreakingly, it is not going to be a third one for Puxty. The gap as they cross the line, less than 1